Does it work well? Excellent. Well, good morning again, everybody. Welcome to the 11th annual meeting of the UK IPv6 Council. And also today is a day when we celebrate 10 years since we started with the Council. So you are here today to see and hear some very special talks. And my name is Veronika McKillop. And for those who have not met me before, I'm the founder and president of the UK IPv6 Council. I've got a whole core team that works with me to prepare these events for you. And yeah, let's get started because we've got a very busy schedule and I hope you have checked it while you registered. So let me just quickly walk you through that. After my opening, I'm very happy that Richard from Sky, he's here to talk about how they're advancing their IPv6 deployment and shifting more towards IPv4 as a service. And for me, it's quite symbolic because when I was preparing for this meeting, I actually went through all the 10 previous meetings. And I saw that Sky were one of the first presenters. You know, that was the time when they announced that they were going to roll out IPv6 in their network. So that was autumn 2014. 10 years forward, and we are actually at point they are removing IPv4 from their network. Very exciting. Then I'm very happy to see a new name, new ISP, who is going to talk about their IPv6 deployment. So Kester from Vodafone will walk us through that, how much work they've done. And they've done a really great job because their ASN is showing over 60% of user traffic on IPv6 within less than a year. After that, we have Jeffrey here from Cisco Meraki. There's a gentleman there at the back. If you wave, Jeffrey, everybody can look at you. So thanks to him, we actually have this room. We can run this event today. And our meeting was an impetus for him to actually get IPv6 deployed here on the guest network. So I think that's great news. And he's going to tell us how it happened, you know, and what they had to go through. And we will conclude the morning with the IPv4 market update. For people who came to our meetings in the past, you might remember that sometimes I put up how the IPv4 price is developing in the open market. But I think it's better that somebody more qualified, who actually deals with this on a daily basis and works with the customer, is going to talk about this. So very happy to have Paulius from IPXO. The lunch will be a little bit different, you know, if you were at our previous events. So this is kind of like self-organized, but we will have pizzas. So hopefully everything arrives on time and there will be enough for everybody. In terms of other refreshments, you already noticed the water station and there are drink stations also in the fridge if you want to help yourself during the break. At the back is a small coffee machine, so that needs a little bit of patience, but it's there. I think if something runs out, you just let us know and we will try to get things refilled, okay? So after the lunch, we will have an update from the IETF. Eric, he's still on a Eurostar train, which is getting a little bit delayed, so we'll probably swap the order a little bit. But then also we have got Tommy, who is a program manager for IPv6 in the Windows group in Microsoft. I think for someone it's a very highly anticipated talk, and I know we had different discussions over the years about different feature support in Windows. So that will be good to have Tommy with here. And also we continue with the IPv6 mostly theme. You might remember started at the enterprise workshop in 2023. Then last year we had Jen from Google. She's also here in the room. So if you want to talk with the RFC author and person who actually deployed it probably first on large scale, she's here. But David, he's going to tell you a very interesting story about what they've done in very few months, obviously many months of preparation, but they actually managed to roll out a very large deployment at Imperial here in London. So really great to hear about another real-life deployment. And the first part of the afternoon, we will conclude with Wilhelm from Germany, who is going to talk about how to approach, if you've got a large countrywide organization or global organization, what is the best way, based on his experience with customers, deploying IPv6. After tea and coffee break, there will be some biscuits prepared for you there, on the tables where there'll be also the lunch, but then we'll biscuits. Then we've got a slightly different type of talk. So I'm happy that Pavel, who is mostly known for his FastNetMon company and a product that he's developed with his team, he's actually going to give us the consumer view, because he's a great IPv6 enthusiast, and he's been trying to run v6 only. I think it's more like v6 mostly, right? But it's going to be his personal experience, how you can do v6 at home. Then we will have Tim, and this is something that we don't cover too often in our meetings because it's not easy to find people to talk about it. He's going to talk about deployment of IPv6 for small and medium businesses, because they've got a slightly different point of view than the large global enterprises and large ISPs. And then we will have a security talk by David. If you don't follow Arcanox on LinkedIn or online on other social platforms, I really recommend it to you, because his company publishes lots of very interesting information about IPv6 deployments, about government programs, about studies that are being released. And I've been actually learning a lot from them. But he's going to talk here about how to approach the security and how it's different from v4. So that will be before we conclude with the 10th anniversary panel, where we try to assemble people who were with us at the beginning. Because on the core team, the people have changed over the 10 years. You know, we have people from different companies come and go. So we'll have 4 of us who were almost at the beginning, talk about how the council started and, you know, how it's changed over the last 10 years. An important, very important thing that the core team always emphasized to me is to remember, after the meeting, we have a little social. We go to a nearby pub, so it's Finch. It's a very short walk from here. So if you have time to stay with us, you know, and continue our conversations, because I'm sure you'll all be talking very busy during the breaks, then you can continue with us at the Finch pub. Some of you hopefully have already seen this slide because you have arrived early. There is an open Meraki guest SSID, which is dual stack. And as I mentioned, Jeffrey is going to talk about how they got IPv6 for the network. At the moment, there are no fire alarms scheduled. Some of you experienced the earlier test fire alarm and got stuck in lift. But that's not scheduled, so if we hear anything, we have to just evacuate. Probably best the way we have come, and Jeffrey, and Victoria will have to show us where to go. But hopefully all cool. If you need to take a call, because, you know, the work doesn't stop, if you walk outside the room, turn left, and continue past the reception, there is a small room called Neptune, and that's reserved for us, so people can go and, you know, make a phone call or answer a call without disturbing this big room. And for the bathroom, it's just straight through this door. We've got 2 visitor badges here on the table, which enable you to come back in, but anybody from the room can also let you in through the little push button. And I have to say again, big thanks to Jeffrey and Cisco Meraki that we actually are hosted today. We've got the venue and we can meet, because without somebody providing us a venue, we wouldn't be able to organize our meeting. And for those who are new here, I'll explain later why. So let's get quickly and look at the first 10 years of the Council. We first made the announcement in September 2014. Officially, IPv6 Forum made an announcement about us in April 2014. But as a group, we kind of became known to the UK-wide audience, I would say, at the UKNOV meeting in Belfast in 2014. And really, the goal of the Council is to share the experience, because while there are other organizations, like at the time was UKNOV and networking groups, they focused on wide problems and not just IPv6, you know, what you can encounter in the networking industry. But we really wanted to be the place to share the experience, because at the time, the IPv6 deployment in the UK was actually at a very low level, and we'll see the number in a few slides. And we wanted, in a way, create a loose community of people who can come together, discuss, you know, learn from each other, and thus encourage others also to deploy IPv6. Everything we do is free, so we have not paid for this event. When you register, there is no charge for the tickets. Our speakers are not receiving any money for coming here to present. And I would like you to keep this in mind, because sometimes things don't go as smoothly as a paid event, so bear with us. But we are very happy that we can keep it this way thanks to our hosts. The way we run the council, we have annual meeting each year, and we managed to do this also during the pandemic, where it was thanks to JISC, we were able to meet on Zoom. And we also have roundtable meetings, which are here to really support a small group discussion. So we don't allow more than 20 people, so everybody can participate. And we also managed over the last couple of years, starting in 2016, to run themed workshops, because we realized it's great to have this day when we cover lots of different topics, but people need more deep dive. They need more information about IPv6 security. And I tell you, that was one of our most popular workshops. At that point, I was very worried that we ran out of seats. And we had almost 160 seats, but lots of people came. Then we had transition technologies, cloud, and after the pandemic, we were able to organize a full day focused on enterprise deployment, because everybody knows that enterprises in general are lagging behind. While the ISPs are taking IPv6 on, because that's their core business and that's where they need to do V6. The enterprise side of the house usually doesn't really want to do V6, doesn't want to be bothered with it. So we have a full day of recordings and presentations where people can actually find some inspiration and lots of information. When I went through the 10 years of us existing, I counted the number of speakers, and I realized that all the annual meetings, the workshops, the roundtables happened thanks to almost 200 speakers that came and presented here, So it's over 200 people who gave their time, sometimes repeat, but still that's great, because we can see the evolution over the 10 years. But it's a lot of people that came to share their passion and experience, and I think this is just marvelous. It just proves that IPv6 is here, it's going to stay, it's just going to grow, it just takes time. And if you want to receive any updates from us, we don't have a mailing list. If you receive anything from Eventbrite, that's not from us, there might be something automated, except when it comes to the registration, right? But you can join us and get the updates on the LinkedIn group. Over 900 people have joined us in the last 10 years. I would say there isn't much traffic, less than 1% of people contribute, but I can see that people share, from the analytics I can see that the posts are being shared, so the information is spreading, and that's what we really want. Here's just to give you an idea, anybody can host our event. And when we started, I was at the time as a systems engineer in Cisco. And at the time, the sales CTO really supported the meetings from his budget, and also enabled us to be in this innovative space, IDEA London. That's where we had our first meeting. Then second was hosted by UCL, thanks to now late Professor Peter Kirstein, who organized for us a nice lecture room. Then the IET, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, hosted us in 2016. And after that, some big organizations really weighed in, and I'm very grateful that BT, Meta, and JISC have supported us over the years, and gave us really nice meeting spaces. And today, again, thanks to Cisco Meraki, that we can meet here. You don't have to host a big annual meeting like this, with 80, 90 people. You can also host a roundtable, which just needs a small meeting room for about 20 people. And you can see there, again, different names, starting from the IET, Microsoft, Facebook, JISC. And this year we're hosted by Sky here in London. And the workshops where we were lucky, I think it was Richard who helped us to get the meeting room in Rice, London. That was for the application workshop. BT, there was a big lecture or meeting room for 160 people. That's why I was worried that we ran out of seats for the security workshop. Then Imperial, thanks to David, hosted us very kindly for the transition technologies and the cloud workshop. And the enterprise workshop was hosted last year by Morgan Stanley. So really big thanks to everybody who enabled us to have these meetings, workshops, and roundtables. Well, that's going to be a question at the end, so just hold it there. So while we had these great meetings over the 10 years, so where did we start and where are we right now? So you can see, hopefully, you have also screens here on the sides. You can see the numbers that when we started in 2014, we had about 0.19% of users using IPv6. And that was thanks to small ISPs like Andrews and Arnold's and Bogans, those who are really enthusiastic and wanted to get some V6 done here in the UK. But we were missing the large ISPs. things have changed a lot over the last 10 years. And as you can see, we're just about 1% shy from 50% of user traffic. That's user internet traffic, There are different ways how you can measure it, but it's great, In some way, we would have hoped it would be higher. We are still missing few organizations, to drive this user internet traffic more on IPv6, but I'll get to it. But you can see, there is, when they said at the time that UK doesn't care about V6, I believe that's not true, and I already knew things were going to change, and as we can see today, we've got the proof. So this is a view from UPNIC Labs. They have a different way of measuring the traffic, but I think the number is now very much the same as what Google sees. So if in your organization people are telling you nobody uses IPv6, nobody deploys it, you will have these slides. They will be available on our website. You can get the links. You can find the information which would support your argument. No, there are users on IPv6, and we need to make sure our services that are at least public-facing are enabled with IPv6 too, so users have a good experience. But besides this being all nice and cool, we have also a problem. As I mentioned, there are still large operators that don't support V6. They are not, some of them are kind of like waiting to go, and some of them within the community, when we try to find out, we actually hear nothing about them having some plans to deploy IPv6. So we need still large operators to deploy IPv6 and roll out. There are small altnets that actually started over the last couple of years, and because of RIPE running out of V4 in 2019, they basically can't get any more V4. So they are also starting immediately with IPv6, which at the time we saw in 22-23 pushed our numbers significantly high, But we need these big guys to actually start deploying, rolling it out. Other pain point where we identify with the core team is that universities are still producing graduates that don't know anything about IPv6. Maybe they heard that something like this exists, but I remember talking to a few graduates, like a group of graduates from a certain company 18 months ago, who graduated only like 6 months before I talked with them, and they told me, oh no, we haven't heard about IPv6 in our lecture, or it was like a mention during like a networking module, which was maybe like an hour within whole program. So that's a very sad situation, because then when we are hiring these young people, they are coming without essential knowledge, and we have to invest into them, learning about it, or they have to go and learn themselves. And the big pain point, a third one we've got here, our government doesn't really have any IPv6 program. You have heard in the past about US government. That's been a big news in November 2020, that basically that program kicked off. There are milestones that actually the federal agencies have to meet, and it's really progressing. There are many other countries, and Jeffrey was telling me yesterday that he's got a list of over 40 countries now globally that are in some way and form forcing IPv6 adoption, in the market for their public services, etc. So I think this is something where if you are working for some government organization, it would be great that you start talking with them that we could have a program like this. Pardon? And I would just give you an example. You can hear based on my accent, I am not British. I was born in the Czech Republic, but I found out through a very complicated way that the government of this country in January basically announced a IPv4 sunset date. While I got really excited, I find the date intriguing, 6th of June 2032, and then I realized it's 20th anniversary of the World IPv6 launch, right? After 2012, we've got 2032. But if you dig into it, there is no specific roadmap. So the government decided something, and they need milestones how to execute it. But let's see, maybe something changes. It is a small country in Europe, but you have seen the other names before. So there will be external stimulus for IPv6 deployment, which will be out of control of organizations that they need to take into account and deploy V6. From our perspective, I'm going to highlight a few things. Eric Wink will give a much longer IETF update in the afternoon. But two things I want to mention here. In 2021, we had Ed Hurley from Hexabel talking about the need for larger documentation prefix than the 2001 DB8. That basically, if you have a global organization, if you've got really large deployment, you need more than what was available with the existing documentation prefix. So there is a new RFC. But you see, somebody came to talk with us. So at the time, some people thought this is nonsense, we don't need that. But they are working very extensively with the federal government agencies, and there they also identified there is a need. So we have a new RFC for that, and also EULAS. Who was at the enterprise workshop last year? There was a debate about it, about using EULAS or no. And at the time, I think Tim, together with other people, he started working on updated this RFC, so which reflects more the operational experience, over the last couple of years since that EULA RFC has been released. And the aim is that the known EULA address will be actually preferred to IPv4 and will be used, within that domain. But I think that Eric might mention more. Is just bear that in mind. So when you hear it in the afternoon, you will remember, and then you take this information away. That's only if you want to use EULA. In general, everybody here is for using global, but And I'll give you also a plug for a small project that appeared in our LinkedIn group a few months ago. This is a gentleman from Turkey who is passionate about IPv6, and he wrote IPv6 captive portal. It's IPv6 only captive portal. You can check it out. It's all open source. All the information is in GitHub. And he really would like people to know about his project. And maybe if you think this could be useful for you, you can get in touch with him. All the information is on GitHub. Okay, this is a lot. And if you are new to us, to here, where do you find all this information? Because we are recording this meeting, we are going to publish the presentations. So we've got a website, which for me is great. It's like an archive, because I am starting to forget things. So every time I need to remember something, I go to on our website. We then also have the LinkedIn group, where you get all the updates. And since 2017, we have a YouTube channel. So some of you at the front can see that there are some cameras here. We are recording all these presentations, and this is on the kind of like the best effort basis. We will publish these videos in the YouTube channel. There's lots of them, lots of really good talks, so definitely recommend you to have a look at them. And on a more fun side, we have prepared for this year a new sticker. You might remember, in the first meetings, I think it was before pandemic, we had like a bunch of stickers that people could take away, with a web address, and all, fun legacy IP. So you put it on your printers at work. This doesn't support V6. But what we've done this year, we decided we need a new sticker. So put them here. And we will put them out during the lunch, so you can take it away. It's a word cloud of IPv6 related terms. If you've got a really good eyesight, you can then tell us, which terms we have missed, because after we printed them, we realized we missed a couple words. But we've got something for you to take away today. Okay. You really need, they are very small print, Tim, I want people to be listening to the presenters rather than looking at the stickers. But what we also decided, maybe a fun thing would be that you could order directly from Cafe Press a t-shirt with our design. Obviously, like, you just pay for the t-shirt, no money comes to us. But you have to wait until we announce it in the LinkedIn group, because we need to tweak a little bit the image to suit different types of fabrics and colors. Okay? So it's something more for you to remember the UK IPv6 Council and tell your colleagues that they need to do a V6. What are we going to do in future? That really depends on who can provide us with space and whether we actually get speakers to come on a particular topic. So hopefully we will have a roundtable again. So next year, if you want to participate in some discussion, hopefully there will be a roundtable, maybe 1 or 2. There are some thoughts already that we should have another workshop. The question is, what is the topic and who can actually host us? And then for the annual meeting, in a similar format as today, there doesn't need to be like a very expensive catering. Everything can be done, on a volunteer basis. We can help with lots of things, ask people from the core team. So if you think that you could host one of these, just please come talk to me, during the breaks, or you can email me after the meeting or find me on LinkedIn. And I just emphasize the presentations are being recorded and will be published online, so just be aware of that. And with that, thanks go again to Jeffrey and Meraki for hosting us today. And I think this is end of the presentation for me, and I will hand over to Richard. Thank you.